First day of is the eclipse.
That's good to start.
Boy, that's hanging a moon.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, I digress. We're on our way to the Evanston Roundhouse. The reason we're heading to the Evanston Roundhouse is because the Hostlers are doing their annual Evanston Train Show. They actually do 2 shows a year. The Ogden show in the Ogden Union Depot, and then the Evanston show in the Evanston Roundhouse. And if you remember from last year's show, they've been restoring the Evanston Roundhouse. This has been going on for years, but just a year ago, they got their completion money in an effort to try to have that whole project buttoned up for May 10th, 2019, and the 150th anniversary of the driving of the Golden Spike.
Wow.
When, if all goes well, the big boy will be coming through Evanston, and oh my heck. So let's check on the Hostlers Train Show and the current progress on restoring the Evanston Roundhouse. Check this out. Well, it's always fun coming up to the Evanston Train Show.
It's just fun to come to Evanston. My family used to live there.
Oh, fun. Yeah, we used to come to Evanston all the time on our way to Bear Lake. We had property at Bear Lake. We were always
fun.
up there messing around.
Yes, that was us. We were always going fishing out to Meek's cabin. My brother lived there, my sister lived there, and so it was a hangout place for a long time, many years.
Yeah, always fun getting off to Evanston.
Yeah.
You know, the town hasn't really changed much either.
No, not really. It's about the same.
And this is a good train show. It's you know, you wouldn't think that you could have a very big train show in Evanston because there's not a lot of people there, but everybody comes in from somewhere else.
They certainly do.
I mean, there's a few locals here, but all of these train clubs, they're here from Cheyenne, Denver, Salt Lake. People come from all over the place. In part because it's such a great place to have a train show in an old roundhouse.
Absolutely.
A lot of the people who come to the train shows are 3-rail people, toy train people, really.
Lionel, imagine that.
An American Flyer. You know, it's not my cup of tea, but back in the day when I was a kid...
Oh, that was it.
This was the ultimate toy, was a toy train.
Exactly.
And I kind of moved on to more scale model trains, but I get it. I understand why these guys are into this. It's just really fun.
Appeals to children, too.
Absolutely. And here's the Sherman Hill guys. They're almost like old friends.
Yes, they are.
We visited them at their train show in Cheyenne this year, the Depot Days train show. And that was a lot of fun.
We got to see how the big boy was coming along.
And wasn't that cool? Gee, they're really making progress on that. And
they sure are.
We got to see the Roundhouse.
Uh-huh.
They don't do their train show in the Roundhouse like these guys do, but the Roundhouse is open. It's just that their Roundhouse is still being used as a roundhouse.
And these are the Hostlers that are putting on this train show.
They put on a couple of great train shows. It's a really big and fun club. From some places on the outside, you'd swear they hadn't done anything at all so far on restoring the Roundhouse. But most of the work's being done inside.
Most of the roundhouses we have visited are just partial, but this one here is complete. The first I have seen in a long time.
And it sort of seems to be in deplorable condition. We got this footage last year when we came up. But even at this point, they'd done a lot of work. There was a whole new roof on, and a lot of the trusses had been rebuilt. So actually, they'd made a lot of progress, and then they got finishing money to replace all of these broken windows. That's probably the biggest thing that they've been facing, is broken windows and replacing all the doors.
It looks like the walls are mostly wide open, but they're replacing all of the windows with brand new.
Yeah, the new windows are here, and some of them have been installed, but for the most part, it's just all open. And you start to realize how much of these walls are glass. This building is all windows. And I assume they're going to fill in all of these inspection pits. So nobody falls in there because it's rather hazardous right now. And in the part of the building that's finished, all of the floors have been redone, and I assume they're going to do that here as well. One part of the floor I hope they don't replace, these areas here, there's 2-foot gauge track built into the floors in a couple of areas. They must have had some interesting equipment that ran around in here on this 2-foot gauge track. You see it here and also over here going into the machine shop. Dang, I'd love to know what in the heck ran up and down this 2-foot gauge track. In fact, I'm hoping that they keep at least part of this as it originally was, as sort of a roundhouse. And I know they're out shopping for a steam locomotive to put in here, just on display, nothing that would run, but wouldn't that be something to see?
No kidding.
Boy, these new windows sure look great.
They sure do.
You know, you don't really think of how much glass there is in a roundhouse, but they're almost like a greenhouse. But considering that they wanted to do as much work as possible by daylight, it makes sense. Look at the clear story windows up above. Just anything to let in more light. And they're restoring all of the brick in here. This was all covered, partially at least, with white paint last year.
Oh, right.
And it's all been steam cleaned. And they've stockpiled as much used brick as they can. And they've got a company coming in to do cleaning and refitting of any of the broken brick. And they've also been buying new brick that looks just like the old brick, because there's a lot of damaged brick here that needs to be replaced. But boy, that's really coming together.
I can't believe the amount of work here that's been accomplished over just the past year. Everything seems to be coming together nicely. I can't wait to see what it will look like next year.
And we'll be here.
Absolutely.
And I'll bet you anything, it's practically done.
I hope so.
One area where they've got a lot yet to do is outside here. They have completely rebuilt the turntable and it works perfectly, and that's really great. But they've got a lot of work around here to clean up all this outside area. They've cleaned up a small part of it, and that looks really great. But boy, do they have a lot more places to clean up.
I wonder what they plan on doing with all of this older track. It looks quite picturesque as is. However, I imagine they want to make it functional, or at least appealing for tourists.
Yeah, in the one little area that they've done, you know, every little piece of ballast is in perfect place, but well, there's something magical about it just like this, and it's,
I like it.
Yeah, just its kind of natural rusty state. It's sort of a shame to lose that, but I suppose that's inevitable.
Yes.
The power plant here is really neat, and I don't know what they're planning to do with it.
I imagine they'll do something with it in time.
Probably completely rebuild it. And man, I like it just like it is. I know they can't leave it like this, but if I were modeling it, I'd want to model it just like this.
Broken windows and all.
It's great. And they've got a lot of old rusty equipment around here, and if they do achieve making this into something of a museum, I'm sure all that will be cleaned up and painted as well, because they really have some neat equipment that they've acquired here. And I do hope they're able to acquire a steam engine.
And the caboose is always my favorite.
They are really cool. It's a shame they're gone from the railroads. But here's the area that they have cleaned up, and so I suppose the whole area is going to look like this by the train show next year. But we will soon see.
Yes, we will.
Well, that's a good train show.
I love that one.
It's always fun. Train shows are always fun, but having a train show in a roundhouse, well, that's better. And in this case, though, just wandering through the uncompleted parts of the roundhouse is my favorite part of the whole trip up there. And boy, is that looking good with the new windows going in, and there's some hope that maybe these guys, because they want to do something of a museum there, not just like a convention center. And there is some hope there that they may get themselves a locomotive, a steam locomotive, just to display, nothing that runs, but just something that they can display. So they're out fishing for that, but they do have some other equipment on display there, and that's really neat to see. And that whole piece of business, the Evanston Roundhouse, is really, really coming together. And then never mind, every late summer is the train show.
Yeah.
And that's worth checking out too.
Absolutely.
Well, if you haven't been over to the channel, you do want to get over to the channel and binge watch all of the other nonsense that's over there. By nonsense, I mean things that don't really make sense. Well, that's us.
That's us.
We fool around constantly. We endlessly screw around. So anyway, it's all documented over there on the channel. So you do want to get over to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, you probably would like to be a subscriber.
It's cool.
Because all of the subscribers are cool. They're like this community, an international community, mind you. So many people in Great Britain, the United Kingdom. Is there a difference between Great Britain and the United Kingdom? Anybody from Great Britain or the United Kingdom,
let him know.
Straighten me out on that. I'm pretty sure that's one and the same thing, but I'm not sure. At any rate, all of you subscribers who are out there, you can clue me in on that. And for those of you who want to clue me in, all you have to do is subscribe, and then you can clue me in, just like all the other subscribers.
Right.
And the easy way to subscribe is to click on the blue button. Are you ready for the blue button? Zoink! It's over here right about where it says Ford. Different blue button.
Yeah.
And that will make you a subscriber if you click on it. If you don't see it, it's because your device doesn't support it, and well, that happens. Well, at any rate, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet, and we hope you didn't find it boring, and we will see you here again in 1 week with some more massive screwing around. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.